Now, Towson Catholic and being a private school, private Catholic school, and you coming from Deer Park, which is like pure public. Um, how was that adjustment going straight to that private school from that situation? Like, did it take any type of time to adjust, or were you always kind of adept to the books? Because a lot of people that talk about the Catholic school and going to the Catholic school from out of middle school is it's the books that's kind of like different.
That's what they say, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's what they say. Yeah. So I'm not going to really speak on TC too much in terms of like the book side of it, but it's definitely a reason that it's close. We don't get me wrong, Catholic school is definitely in terms of education a little bit more strenuous, a little bit more. Yeah, seriously. But once you get to it, and and you got your feet wet, you can get around. You can figure it out. So the transition plus Deer Park was a magnet school at that time. They were trying to compete with Sudbrook. Okay. They was trying to compete with Sudbrook. So like they had a pretty good curriculum in terms of middle school. So the transition in that phase wasn't too tough. At TC, I did have to take Spanish, and I probably failed that like 3. I literally took Spanish 1 like 3 times. It was bad. But other than that, the books weren't too hard because I was always, I guess, like a BA student anyway. So it really wasn't too much for me. I kind of picked up on things pretty fast in terms of schoolwork. So that really wasn't that big of an issue for me transitioning to Catholic school.
Only reason why I asked that question primarily with guys that go to Catholic school is because, I mean, even in public school too, you come into school, it's not like you're playing football. You know what I mean? Fall is football time. So you're not coming in playing your sport, even though you got tournaments, fall leagues, stuff like that. But you're primarily not in your season until the winter time. So I always
I would agree with that. I would agree with that in most schools. TC was basketball, regardless. We didn't have football. We didn't have anything.
Okay.
Didn't have football field. I didn't know that. We had lacrosse. We had soccer. They were pretty good, but it was a basketball school. We don't even have
which is why we in the same situation, same area. So it's like primarily a basketball school.
Yeah, that was it. Like all year round. Even when we were out of season, we were still in study hall. You talking ninth grade. We in study hall on time. If you're not, you know what I mean, you're gonna have to holler at the coach, especially if you're a freshman. Now, if you one of them upper tier guys, you can finagle around it. But
as a freshman, you came in and used that study hall.
We in shirt and ties in study hall for 2 hours. After that, we got workouts, maybe open gym, and I get to be honest with you, when I was a freshman, like I said, we would have open gyms or so, and I'm there with legitimate like college basketball players, legitimate. Dante Green was there, Malcolm Delaney, Larry Bassfield, Brandon Green, and we had some guys who didn't even make it to the college level. That was the truth. I don't know if y'all ever heard of
They had to be nice.
There for basketball. Probably didn't go to class more than 2-3 times. A guy named Ron Nick. We also had a dude named Wayne Dorsey that played for Mountain Royal as well. Like that upper junior and senior class when I was a freshman was legit, and I got there when Malcolm and Dante were juniors. So, and they competing, for championships at that age. So, I'm coming to open gyms and shaking hands with Gary Williams, shaking hands with what's the coach from Texas that coach at
Bobby Knight?
No. He was with the Longhorns. He was with the Longhorns, and now he was with the Longhorns forever. But he's there every day. Boeheim, I'm walking to class, and Boeheim's in the hallway. Like TC was
when you were
in ninth grade.
So your introduction to
high school basketball. You walk into class and you see TV coaches you see on television, just walking up and down the hallways looking for Dante, Malcolm, Larry, hollering at them.
Now, so you spoke about Dante and Malcolm and Larry and those guys, right?
Mm-hmm. LaShawn Edwards was the.
But LaShawn,
was we going to get to that?
That's so great. That's exactly what I was about to ask you.
Because we had conversations about this man before that.
LaShawn Edwards, like people talked about him, he was there at the time, right?
Wasn't
there at the time.
He was at St. Francis.
He was at St. Francis at the time, correct?
Well, technically he went to.
You're right.
Technically, he went to Boys Latin first. He went to Boys Latin first. It was a package deal. Him and like 3 other people. Again, these are the people that I played with growing up, AAU circle with, then their family, bloodline, Sean, Vinny. They at Boys Latin first. It was like a package deal. All of them go there. Didn't work out. They also had a big fella named Big House. This big bastard was tough, right? He was tough, but he was just huge, and it kind of caught up to him throughout his career. But that's where he was at. And from Boys Latin, they went to St. Francis. Rick Barnes. Thank you, Rick Barnes. Yes, that was like he could have taught a class up at TC because he was up there that much.
That's crazy.
Gary Williams, besides Peace Jam, I have never been around so many college coaches that I would be around in high school. Right. And it was, like I said, we had Malcolm, Delaney, Dante, Brandon, Larry, and then Sean, who everybody wanted.
Everybody.
From day one. The boy was 6'2", 6'3", when we was 11 years old, and we was playing Hoop It Up. We was playing the tournaments. My father had to carry his birth certificate, and he was like, he was from Cherry Hill as well, so they called him overseas because he was tall, and Cherry Hill, he was just tall as shit. So overseas was his nickname growing up. So, but from that 10, 11 year age range up to high school, everybody wanted Sean. Everybody wanted him. So they went to Boys Latin, went to St. Francis. Didn't work out for them at St. Francis. A little situation happened. Then they came to TC. So they get to TC. I'm a freshman. He's a freshman as well, or sophomore, I believe. We got Vinny and then some other players as well. And Big Drew came as well when he was a sophomore. And they all go straight to Boston. Of course, I'm a freshman. These guys are way better than what I was at that time frame. My biggest issue transition-wise from middle school, I played for my father. And people don't understand when you play for your father. Different. It's a lose-lose situation. Yep. There's no winning out of it. Yeah. There's no winning. You playing because your father's the coach, and if you don't play, you don't play, you suck because your father's the coach and you're not playing. Yeah. So, and then also it's a lose-lose situation for him as well because he's coaching and he can't show favoritism, so he got to be hard on you. You know what I mean? And make it seem like
he got to be on you more than everybody.
Exactly. I hated my father. Yeah. Legitimately hated him. Like, we would go home, I wouldn't talk to him, wouldn't rap to him. Yeah. Wouldn't rap to him. We wouldn't have conversations at dinner, nothing like that. Like, I couldn't stand him because, and this goes back to the middle school before we get fully into their high school range. These players that we just talked about, they kind of shot off. Yeah. They got taller and more athletic, and I was never athletic. I was never tall. You know what I mean? I could always think the game and shoot, but those were never my strength. So we talking about 12, 13 years old, and this guy's 6'3", and I'm 5'4", 5'5", a round ball. You know what I mean? Why is your son playing? Why is your son playing on this national level? You know what I mean? So, and at that time, I really didn't deserve to be out on the court besides what I was out there at, for. So, that transition from playing with him and then going to high school, 9th grade, it kind of, all right, now you're not playing for your father no more. Let's see what you can do. Yeah, exactly. So, and I cherish these little open gyms that we would have. Like, this was my time to do my thing. Like, exactly. All of the guys knew me. All of the upperclassmen knew me. From, like I said, from playing in the area throughout my childhood. But I was always just a shooter. That's DeJuan's son, coach's son. That's the reason he played. He ain't gonna do nothing but shoot, right? So freshman year, that was pretty much just the stereotype around it, and that's what I was as a freshman. Mm-hmm. That's what I was as a freshman. But I did well as a freshman, and then I came into high school. Came into my sophomore year, and I think this is where it kind of took off. Like, my basketball ability and my work ethic kind of meshed. Like, they kind of finally synchronized. Like, I was always better than players in elementary. We was always the same size. It didn't matter. And then going into being a sophomore, going into, in high school, I was still behind everybody physically, height, stature, speed.
So you put that work in.
Sophomore, I would always go to California.
No, hold on. I don't want to go to sophomore. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I want to stay with freshmen because the simple. because of the simple matter that it takes that moment. I want to get to the moment that you came to, or something that made it. Like, yeah, exactly.
So if I'm answering that question, it came before freshman year.
It was so coming in, you had that.
Yeah, it came before freshman year,
no,
but I
never.
It came before freshman year because I was always angry. Yeah. I was pissed off. Why do I have this this hanging over me that I can't play without my father? Like that pisses me off, right? So I had a knee injury, and when I had a knee injury, actually I think I was, like I said, in my 8th grade in middle school. I had a knee injury and put me on prednisone, and I blew up. I showed you the picture of us in travel team, braids, way out of shape, not even close to being in shape, right? But so that narrative carried along with that. So then, and like I said, it was true, but it was always something that pissed me off because I'm trying. Like I've been one of the better guys in the area. I'm still I still produce. It's just the fact that I'm playing for my father, and I don't look the way that you want me to look. You feel me? And all these other people are taking off physically. So now like I said, I'm in 9th grade, still kind of growing into myself physically, still out of shape, still, trying to get that off of me. And but we still winning, and it's still showing that I'm still one of the better players if I can get over that hump. Yeah. If I can just get over that hump and figure it out in that physical phase, then I'll be back to where I was growing up. You know what I mean? And that's kind of how my freshman year played out. And then
any notable games your 9th grade year?
9th grade year, I started JV.
Yeah,
I started JV. Well, I started like after 2 or 3 games because we had some sophomores and actual juniors on the team.
Damn.
Yeah, exactly. As a freshman, I'm playing against sophomores and juniors in practice. So, but I ended up starting. I would say I was probably one of our, leading scorers or so, but I wasn't doing much of nothing. Like we was.
Well, what was a notable game for you that you remember?
I wouldn't say I had one as a freshman.
As a freshman, you were just getting your feet wet.
I wouldn't say I had one as a freshman. As a freshman, it was just kind of like, all right, this is your first taste of what it's going to be like if you want to actually do this at a competitive level.
And you're watching Malcolm and Dante and then
every day.
Are they juniors or seniors?
They are juniors.
They're juniors, so you got to see them for 2 years.
Yeah, they're juniors. But the thing is, I wasn't just seeing them in high school. I'm playing against these guys. I'm watching these guys. I'm trying to work out with these guys. And then also, we play for the same AAU team. Okay. You know what I mean? We playing under the same, AAU umbrella. So these are guys that I'm going to summer workouts with, and they in there busting their ass, and they got these coaches in there. What is my excuse? Yeah. What could possibly be my excuse for that? You know what I mean? Right. So that was if I had to sum up a freshman year, that was probably the learning curve. Like, look, either you're going to want to do this and take this shit serious, or you're just going to be a regular run-of-the-mill guy, and you're never going to get back to where you was at to start off your basketball career.
You take that in the sophomore year, and do you stay on JV or do you move up to varsity?
So sophomore year, I go to California.
The summer
going into my sophomore year. I would go every summer, but this particular summer, and it's just, everybody's body in general. Like when you're in high school, you kind of, at some point in phase, you change. You know what I mean? You physically change. You know what I mean? You shed all the baby weight, you figure it out. And that was my year, going into my sophomore year high school. I come back from California, and my father didn't even recognize me.
Right.
The braids were gone. I had a haircut. You know what I mean? I'm 20 pounds lighter probably. And this is a sophomore.
Did you go out there and just play basketball? Or did you
my West Coast side of the family.
And what part of California were you in?
Sacramento. Okay. My mother's from Riverside.
Gay area.
My mother's from Riverside, but my uncle lives in Sacramento. He has 3 sons that are all around my age. So we would go and nonstop, just doing stuff. Not even hooping, because they weren't hoopers.
Okay.
Like we was just outside. He had a swimming pool in his backyard. If I ever tell anybody the easiest way to kind of get yourself in shape without having to really put any physical, restraint on your body, swimming. Yeah. Swim. For sure. Swim. It'll just come on. And then this thing that kids like to do. Like what kid don't like to swim? Yeah. You know what I mean? So we playing Marco Polo. I'm losing 2-3 pounds a day. Yeah, you know what I mean? Easily.
The sweat is getting easy. Right.
It's right on your head, and you don't even notice it. Yeah. You don't even notice it. It's not like you're out there stressing yourself, trying to run suicide and things like that. Exactly.
It's healthy. Like
you're using every part of your body.
But you exercise.
Exactly. You're using every part of your body, and you don't even realize it. So Sophomore year, I come back off the summer. Like I said, Pop don't even notice me. Like, damn, boy, I should have. It was like, what you do?
Yeah.
And I was like, I was just, just open, having fun, being a kid. You know what I mean? I mean, what are you when you're sophomore? Like 14, 15? Yeah. What kid
14,
wants?
15.
What kid before this generation? What kid wants to be in the house? Like, we wasn't really no crazy video games. We just out going crazy. My uncle would take us to the lake. You know what I mean? We go hiking and shit like that every summer. But this particular summer was the one where it kind of, all clicked. I come back and it took off. It all clicked at that point in time. The work ethic. Because at this point in time, I'm viewing myself in the mirror and I'm like, all right, I look like these guys. Man. Yeah. I don't look out of place. Yeah. I can keep up with these guys. There's no excuse now. What's my excuse? I don't have one. Right? So this is when it started to register, like, all right, this is your second chance at it. What you gonna do? Right? So again, Malcolm and Dante seniors. So every day coming in, I'm seeing these kids. I mean, in private school, you getting letters every day at lunch. Right. Stacks of them. Every school you can name. Stacks. Come out and passing them out every day. Every day. Getting stacks of letters. You know what I mean? And I'm a sophomore. I want that. Yes. I'm looking at this. I want that. Yeah. Why I want this. Yeah. And it's not, I can't say that I can't get it because there's other sophomores that's getting it. Drew, Sean, you know what I mean? These other guys that's really excelling at that age are getting these letters. I don't have nobody's looking at me. My competitive nature, I'm going to get that. Yes. That's going to be me at some point in time, sooner than later, right? So sophomore, let's see, sophomore, I played JV. It was the option of, it's crazy because there's another kid named Jonathan Thomas. I remember him to this day. Everybody that went to TC called him John the Baptist because he was really into the Bible and in his spiritual side. He didn't like to cuss, and like I said, TC, we was kind of a little ratchet. Yeah, like the core of the basketball group was a little ratchet. So we would cuss around him, and he like, stop that. You know what I mean? Talk about women and things of that around. Oh no, I don't want to hear that. Right. Right. But he was a transfer into TC. He was a sophomore as well. So, and this is what I would always. This is why when we used to always talk about me coming on the show, when I tell you that a real conversation comes when you have to decide what's better for you, right? So I had the option of going and playing on a senior team. I mean, on a varsity team that's stacked, not seeing the floor. Wouldn't have seen the floor. No way. Unless they won a lot of games by 30, 40. But that's not, you're not working. Yeah. And then you got to remember that I'm coming off of a time like I couldn't do besides, what I was already doing. So I needed to try to develop my game. Yeah. It was no way that I would have been able to go ahead and succeed at the level that I was at. So sophomore, John comes in and his father's like, you're going to play varsity. You're going to play varsity because he came from a varsity team. I think he was out in Frederick area. And he goes and he, hell bent on playing varsity. And the boy could play. He could shoot. But like I said, there was no playing time for him. No playing time. Anybody with level head could see that there was no playing time on varsity. Facts. Yeah. Exactly. So I decided to play JV. Best decision I ever made in my life. Best decision I ever made in my life was to play JV my sophomore year. And people think about it, like I say, if I'm growing up in this time frame where these guys are really taking off and being like the focal point of their team, and I'm a sophomore, and you're a sophomore or freshman, and you playing varsity already, it would probably, if I'm not level-headed and not thinking about it, I might be like, no, I want to play varsity because they playing varsity. You know what I mean? Not realizing that their skill set is way above where I'm at. Yeah, you know what I mean? And not only that, they're playing competition that's way less than what we play in the Catholic League. At that point in time, it was, like I said, it was, in my opinion, night and day in terms of Catholic school and public school. It was like 3 or 4 public schools that were legit. But no. The whole Catholic League was popular. Exactly. So he plays varsity, I play JV. That JV year, I literally 18, 20 points a game as a sophomore, which in JV is, you don't frown upon it, but it feels good again. Yeah. Basketball starts to feel good. I start to get that confidence back. Yeah. Like I belong here. Like for sure. I belong here. I belong in that conversation with these other guys that are in my age bracket. And in the 10th grade, and you're playing AAU in the circus that you're playing in at the time, it's like you can't do nothing but think that you're one of the best. Like, you know what I mean? And you're playing with one of the best teams
because TC at the time with Malcolm and Dante was the focal point
undefeated.
of the BCL.
And undefeated.
Everybody had their eyes on TC. So to be able to be in the spectrum of that and be able to do your thing, that has to feel good. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So, like I say, sophomore, and we in a situation now where I'm playing at a school where the varsity games are packed. Like if you're not, especially TC, if you're not in the gym by the time the JV's playing, you're not gonna watch that game. It's not happening. So the buzz is I'm getting a little bit more buzz because they seeing me play. Yep. Like, oh damn, that's Devin. Like that don't look like the old Devin that we know. Like he's actually playing well. You know what I mean? He's controlling the game and leading his team to wins because we was playing like the Mather, you know what I mean? Of course, St. Francis, St. Joe. But every game that the varsity played, they kind of scheduled the big teams in the area, and we're doing well. I think we ended up losing in like the semifinals of the JV championship or whatever. But at that point in time, now I'm confident. I regained that confidence back in myself, and it's no hold back from here. Mm-hmm. And we go, and this happened to be our best year AAU wise as well. Mm-hmm. My sophomore going into my junior. And
that summer going into your junior year.
Exactly, because we got Sean was usually playing with us. Mm-hmm. And
Sean Mosley?
No, Sean Edwards. Oh, yeah, he was the focal point to go to, whatever the case, whatever you wanted. Sean was that guy. Mm-hmm. So he goes and plays up, and this is like probably second year of the merger, and this is when I think we had this is definitely when we had our best year. We lost in the nationals, the championship in the nationals. We lost to a team in Connecticut that had two dudes that were 3 years older than us. They kind of snuck in there, and one dude went to Kansas the next year. I think his name was like Tyrone Gardner. You can ask Cheese. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But it's me, Drew, George Jackson, Cheese, Sean Farr was on that mob. Westmoreland played with us for a little bit during that year.
Westmoreland.
Yeah. And none of us, and the crazy thing is like none of us were highly touted at that point in time. Like none of us. Yeah. Like the team with the most talent was like Chick Webb. Mm-hmm. And then this is when like Select was taking off, right? They had Select. Yeah, they had like Josh and a couple other people on that squad.
Baltimore Select did have a little run for sure.
Yeah, exactly. So they had the orange Adidas and shit like that. Right. So yeah, exactly. So they kind of taking off, we taking off, and then that year we, like I said, we losing the nationals and the championship, and we also go to Peach Jam. I mean, we playing like big time basketball in front of everybody that you can ever want to play in front of. And I was our second leading scorer on that team, but Drew had came down. He had came down to play with us because he was playing up. It didn't really work out. I mean, it worked out, but for him to shine, he was in our age. He was in our age. He was in our grade, so he could play with us. He was the age bracket above us, but he was in our, of course, the reclassification. Exactly. So he played with us that year. He ended up coming down after playing with Najee and then decided to play with us. And we kind of really ran through the summer that year. We had a really, really good summer. I'm talking, Bob Givens tournament, Boo Williams. We had a lot of tournaments.
See, that's the thing. Like people don't really, like I said, and I said this before, when you was like early, like when you was young in elementary school. Mm-hmm. Like, but when you get in high school, now y'all really traveling. So like I know you starting to see some players. Like that's like really, really ridiculous.
My God.
Do you remember any like what team did you play that was really crazy or that y'all got your ass whipped by or somebody that
winning in sophomore?
Like in like
crazy story. What's the kid? His name Jeremy Tyler. I don't know if anybody. Jeremy Tyler. He played for California Supreme, and he was like the biggest thing, like out west at that point in time. He was like 6'5", 6'6". And us here with Team Mello,
where did y'all play him?
We played him. I can't tell you exactly where we played him, but it was one of them bigger tournaments. Yeah. But he, like I said, he was playing for California Supreme, and they had a loaded mob. And he's like 6'6". This time frame, we didn't have anybody that was 6'3", 6'4" above. Corbett really put together some guys that was underrated, that had a chip on their shoulder, and kind of just brought it out of them. And just said, look, you are better than what you think you are, and I'm gonna show you better than what you think you are. And if you don't feel like you're better than what you think you are, this ain't the place for you. And y'all gonna play together, y'all gonna figure it out, and y'all gonna win games. And he wouldn't coach. The man would sit down on the bench, wouldn't say nothing. And we was out there going out there and winning games, like competitive. Like I said, we played Jeremy Tyler. He's like 6'6", 6'7", and we would play small ball. Like we would play 3-4 guards and maybe like somebody 6'1", 6'2", and then maybe we have like a 6'4" guy out there. So they're coming out on the court like, who are these niggas not ranked? I don't see nobody name on here that we're gonna remember because everybody ranking at this point in time. You know what I mean? This is not gonna be a fun game. And we would come out there and literally run through shit. Run through Alex Oriaki. He played for BCB. That was probably the team that we could never beat. Yo, and then what's the kid name? Philip Lindsay.
Philip Lindsay, yeah.
What?
Yeah, he was nice.
The truth.
Yo, he was definitely nice.
The truth. He went to Missouri. Yeah. And he played up like 3 years straight. That's how tough he was. He played up. But yeah, so that sophomore year in terms of AAU was definitely the year where everything clicked. Everything clicked. It's like, okay, you playing on this national level, you playing against these guys. I mean, if you play AAU and you play on the circuit, you're gonna play against pros. Yeah. You might not know it at that point in time when you're shooting up. But 4 or 5 years later, these guys are gonna be #1 in their class and on their way to one of the highest schools in college. We played against DeMarcus Cousins. Like we played against everybody at that. Yeah, we played him out Florida. That big bastard had about 30. He was tough. But yeah, so if I'm sitting here and going to give you names of the people that I played in terms of like pros now, it would be a long list in terms of that. But I wouldn't be like, oh yeah, I played him at this gym or he played with that squad because just off the strength that's how consistent. Like every weekend you were gone. Every weekend you were gone. Yeah. Like you're a sophomore in high school, and you getting treated pretty much like a college player. Yeah, you're flying or driving in a bus everywhere. Got to bring your school books with you because you know what I mean. Class gonna be Monday. Yeah. So it was real. It was definitely real.
It's crazy, man. So now you transitioned and you became you kind of got accustomed to yourself as an adolescent, as a teen. And you stepping into your confidence zone now. It's 11th grade. It's time to play varsity basketball. Dante and Malcolm is gone. What's your mindset?
That's funny. So remember I was telling you about all those letters that we would come back to, and they would give. I got my first letter. Right starting up in junior.
Who was it from?
Robert Morris.
Robert Morris.
And this is after they beat Duke in the either they beat them or they had a real good game. One of the years they beat them, one that they didn't. But it was Robert Morris Bruins. I mean not Robert Morris, Belmont. I'm tripping.
Yeah, no, I know what you're talking about, but Robert Morris
is local.
Robert Morris is in PA.
Yeah, exactly. I'm talking about Belmont. Belmont guy. Yeah. But Robert Morris was when I say Robert Morris, they did give me a letter towards that. What's the name? But that was B Green was like Robert, target per se. But yeah, it was Belmont Bruins. So that's why I said when I said the Bruins, I remember. But yeah, and then I was coming home the letters consistently, but I started to compare my letters to everybody else because, like I said, it was that when you're in that environment, it's kind of all right. These are the guys that's here. This is where you want to be. Go ahead and compete with them. So I'm comparing my actual letters with the people with the people like D Green, Larry, because these are seniors now, and I'm a junior. Drew at the time, like I'm looking at my letters and saying, my letter is like typed. You know what I mean? Typed up, and then it's got that little signature. You know what I mean? Sort of, kind of like a generic one. Yeah, like one that you got a little page. Yeah, mass produce it, sign it, and send it off. These guys are getting handheld. So now I'm like, handwritten, my fault. Handwritten. Nah, I don't want this. Get this out my face. I want the handwritten. Yeah. I want somebody to actually say my name. I want to see the pen mark when they hit. Right? And then that first school that I would say that became that school for me was George Mason. Yeah. And I believe it was no doubt in my mind I was going to George Mason. Like it was no doubt in my mind. That's why I wanted to go. And this is after they went to the Final Four with Big John. Yeah, exactly. I've said that's where I want to go. These letters and shit don't really matter, and I'm consistently coming 2 letters and handwritten from them, so I'm feeling the vibe as well. But yeah, the conversation that kind of, I guess, sparked that fire again would be we sitting there playing tunk in high school, and what boy, my father would never give me lunch money. He'd never give me lunch money. Give me $5. I'll make it last throughout the whole week. Let's figure it out, right? Tunk, yo, tunk was it. And we playing tunk, and Malcolm like, yeah, there's no need for you to play varsity. What you gonna play varsity for? You ain't gonna play over anybody that's there. John gonna play over you. John was the one that I was telling you because he's already played varsity. John gonna play over you. Larry there, Vinny there. These guys already on the varsity team. Sean gonna be here. You gonna be, playing off the bench. And that was the conversation that kind of like reek. All right, settle down, young blood. You play real good in JV. This is somebody who you look up to. They're telling you ain't gonna be playing here on the junior as a varsity.
And you know what's so crazy, and I'm saying this, I'm telling you, Malcolm, cut through.
Best guard I've ever been around, played with, best work ethic ever. And he treated me like a little brother in the sense, like I said, we were still playing for the same AU team and then TC. So I don't know if he actually meant it or he was trying to
cut through regardless.
Now he was trying to throw a little jab.
Hey, look, and I felt it. I felt every part of it, right? So junior year comes around. John was already on the varsity. This is the shooter kid that I was telling you about, the transfer. Yeah, and now he's predicted like the eighth man in the rotation because Malcolm, Dante, and we also had like 2 or 3 other seniors at the time. So they gone as well. So at this point in time, we got he's a junior, I'm a junior, and it was me or him. At that point in time, it was me and him. It was whether I was going to get the minutes or he was going to get the minutes. And I took that personal in every preseason workout, every open gym. It was always a thing where I was at him and he was responding. I mean, he didn't back down, but I was at his neck because I knew that that's who I had to prove that I was better than in order to get on the court because the starting 5 was pretty much solidified. Sean was still there at that point in time. So I didn't start playing. I didn't start starting. Well, I didn't start really even getting good minutes until probably like the 4th game. We were in Rehoboth Beach. We playing against Irvin Walker, big dude named Murphy that went to Florida as well, shooter. But they all went to. Then we played Christ the King. We played some nice little teams in that tournament. And my mother was there, and I come out. Pratt subs me in. I probably have like 9 quick points, right? Mm-hmm. He subs me out, puts Sean back in the game. Goes back with the normal, starters that he's confident with, which is okay. My mother spazzes.
At the game.
Spazzes. What are you doing? You tripping? You know what I mean? Being my mother, right? So I'm like, be quiet, chill out. You know what I mean? Because if I'm gonna play, I want it because I earned it.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't want it because my mother threw a temper tantrum at the game.
No.
Exactly.
I feel you.
From that moment on, I started the rest of my years at TC.
From that 4th game, 11th grade on.
All the way through. And actually, when I would say, I'm pretty sure that the majority of the players that was at TC at that time frame would say that when I started to start. And of course, unfortunately, Sean transferred, dropped out of TC. That we kind of found a groove and took off. It was St. Joe. They had Dino. They had Big Henry Sims, Eric Agnes. They had them all. And then, of course, St. Francis at that point in time had Mosley. I don't even know who else he had in the senior year. Yeah, they played all the way through. RJ, Dante Holmes. They had them all the way through. But that was his senior year when I was a junior.
My mom said, yeah, mama.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely Mama Jackie. Definitely. I know.
You know what I'm saying? But that experience, man, is wild, man, because you're in the midst of playing with a lot of dogs, in that whole conference, even with your team. And the players on your team, you got B Green on your team.
B Green, Larry, Terrell, and Vinny.
This is right after the abs. This is right after Malcolm and Dante.
The destruction,
burgers,
the destruction that came through the Catholic League.
Like they're burgers. You know what I'm saying? Them guys are all American.
And they was playing against tough. It was still tough.
Whole conference.
Summers, Chris, shit. What's your name that went to McDonough with Summers? I can't remember it off the top of my head, but it was a guard.
Not Braswell.
No,
Matt. Chris Matt.
He a local guy. He played for Madison too. I actually played with him a couple times locally, but I can't. Yeah, he went to St. John. You talking about
Braswell?
We played them just off the strength of Malcolm and them. But yeah, it was tough. McDonough was tough. St. Francis was always tough. St. Joe was always tough. Gibbons had Franz and Briscoe and them growing up at that point. You know, coming through the program at that time. So it was always a dogfight in terms of that. But they demolished it. Like it was no competition. I don't think they really lost, if I can remember.
Yeah, they got busy.
Yeah, for sure.
So now, like, we in 11th grade, and like you say, you starting. And do you remember any like memorable games from 11th grade? That stood out to you. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, we played St. Francis at. And Mosley probably told you this. I don't know if he did or not. We played St. Francis at Towson. We had played them at St. Francis one time, and during the regular season, and I shot a 3 in the corner, and it was in the newspaper because Dante blocked it, so they had a picture of me getting my shot blocked in the newspaper. It was a cold game, but they beat us. But that was the picture that was in the newspaper. So I had that snippet of it, and then we played them at Towson because that was the MIAA championship. Well, playoffs was held. We playing them at Towson, and Larry's killing. Like Larry's having a great game. Brandon's having a great game, and Mosley is just being Mosley, destroying us. You know, man amongst boys. Man amongst boys, right?
Crazy.
It's from the moment that he picked up a ball. Exactly. So he's destroying us. And then I think Bassville probably, I mean, in the high school, 20, 25 points, that's a pretty good game. You know what I mean? You're talking 8-minute quarters. Like that's a really good game. And Bassville has like 25 at this point in time. We down 3. And I hit the 3 to send it into overtime. And I guess that would be the game that kind of like was like staple in a sense, and I took the newspaper from that one and put it right beside the one where I got my shot blocked, and that was kind of like my motivation throughout the summer. Like those were 2. I had them 2 posted on my mirror throughout my junior year in high school. But I would say that was the game where it kind of like, I guess I got my biggest highlight in terms of so far in high school.